Have you ever wondered what secrets the ancient trees whisper when no one is listening? What if I told you that in Middle-earth, these whispers carry the weight of millennia, spoken in a language so old that it predates the very stones beneath our feet? Today we're diving deep into the most mysterious tongue ever conceived by Tolkien, the secret language of the Ents, and the earth-shattering revelations they shared with the forests of Middle-earth. Most Tolkien fans know the Ents as the tree shepherds who destroyed Isengard, but what they don't realize is that these ancient beings possessed linguistic powers that could literally reshape reality itself. Their language wasn't just communication, it was magic, history and prophecy all woven together in syllables that took hours to pronounce a single thought. Picture this. While men spoke in fleeting words that lasted mere seconds, the Ents crafted sentences that unfolded like seasons, each phrase containing layers of meaning that revealed the deepest truths about Middle-earth's forgotten past. When Treebeard spoke to Merry and Pippin, he was actually holding back, condensing eons of wisdom into what he considered hasty, almost reckless speech. The Entish language operated on principles that would seem impossible to mortal minds. Every word they spoke contained not just meaning, but the entire history of what they described. When an Ent said the word for tree, they weren't just naming an object. They were recounting that specific tree's entire life story, from seedling to ancient giant, including every season it weathered, every creature that sheltered beneath its branches, and every change it witnessed in the world around it. This is why Entish conversations took so incredibly long. They weren't being slow or deliberate. They were being complete. To speak hastily in Entish would be like telling someone's life story in a single word, which to the Ents seemed not just rude, but actually impossible. Their language demanded thoroughness because it was designed to preserve the full truth of everything they discussed. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. The Ents didn't just speak to each other in this ancient tongue, they whispered constantly to the forests themselves, sharing knowledge that shaped the very growth patterns of trees across Middle-earth. These weren't casual conversations, but rather elaborate information networks that connected every major forest from Fangorn to the old forest near the Shire. Through their whispered communications, the Ents maintained what we might call a forest internet, a vast network of shared consciousness that allowed trees separated by hundreds of miles to share information about weather patterns, threats, and changes in the world. When Saruman began cutting down trees for his war machine, word spread through this network faster than any messenger could travel. The old forest where Tom Bombadil dwelled was particularly receptive to these Entish whispers. The hostile behavior of trees like Old Man Willow wasn't random malice. It was informed awareness passed down through generations of whispered warnings about the dangers that two-legged creatures posed to their kind. The trees had literally been taught to be wary through centuries of Entish counsel. What makes this even more remarkable is that the Ents could adjust their communication style depending on what type of trees they addressed. Ancient oaks required different linguistic approaches than quick-growing birches. Evergreens, with their year-round vitality, could process more complex information than deciduous trees during their dormant winter months. The Ents had essentially developed specialized dialects for different species of trees. These whispered conversations also served as living libraries. Every significant event in Middle-earth's history was recorded not in books that could burn or scrolls that could decay, but in the memories of trees guided by Entish wisdom. The fall of kingdoms, the movements of peoples, the changing of climates, all of this information lived on in the rings of ancient trees, interpreted and preserved through the careful guidance of their Ent shepherds. During the War of the Ring, this network became crucial in ways that most never realized. When the Ents marched on Isengard, they weren't acting alone. They were responding to a collective outcry that had been building across multiple forests for years. Every tree that Saruman destroyed had sent its dying thoughts rippling through the network, creating a growing chorus of rage that eventually reached Fangorn Forest and motivated the Ents to action. The language itself possessed almost magical properties. Certain Entish phrases could encourage faster growth in young trees, while others could help ancient giants resist disease or storm damage. Some whispered words could even awaken the dormant awareness in trees that had grown complacent or sleepy, bringing them back to active participation in forest life. Perhaps most intriguingly, the Ents used their language to prepare the forests for futures they might not live to see. They would plant linguistic seeds, complex ideas embedded in simple-seeming phrases that would only be fully understood by trees decades or centuries later when the predicted circumstances finally arose. This forward-thinking communication style meant that forests could react appropriately to threats that hadn't yet emerged. The tragedy of the Ents becomes even more poignant when we consider this linguistic legacy. As their numbers dwindled and the Entwives disappeared, entire dialects of forest communication began to fade. Trees that had relied on Entish guidance for millennia found themselves increasingly isolated, leading to the gradual decline in forest consciousness that we see throughout the later ages of Middle-earth. Today, when we walk through any forest, we're walking through the remnants of these ancient conversations. Every rustle of leaves in the wind echoes faintly with the linguistic patterns the Ents established. The way sunlight filters through branches, the spacing between trees, even the particular mix of species in different areas, all of these bear the invisible fingerprints of Entish influence guided by their impossibly complex language. The secret language of the Ents represents one of Tolkien's most sophisticated world-building achievements, a communication system that wasn't just about conveying information, but about preserving wisdom, shaping reality, and maintaining the delicate balance between the natural world and the ever-changing forces that threatened it. Understanding this hidden aspect of Middle-earth reveals just how deeply interconnected Tolkien's world truly was, with every forest holding secrets whispered by voices older than memory itself.